하버드 비즈니스 리뷰 아티클 같이 있습니다. What is strategy? 전략이란 무엇인가? 마이클 포터 교수의 논문입니다. Rivals can easily copy your improvements in quality and efficiency, but they shouldn't be able to copy your strategic positioning. What distinguishes your company from all the rest? 경쟁사들이 품질이나 생산성 면에서 효율성 면에서 당신의 개선 활동들을 쉽게 카피할 수 있지만 그 경쟁사들이 당신의 스트래터직 포지셔닝, 전략적 포지셔닝은 카피할 수 없습니다. 무엇이 당신 회사를 경쟁사들과 차별화하는 것일까요? The myriad activities that go into creating, producing, selling, and delivering a product or service are the basic units of competitive advantage. Operational effectiveness means performing these activities better, that is, faster or with fewer inputs and defects than rivals. Companies can reap enormous advantages from operational effectiveness, as Japanese firms demonstrated in the 1970s and 1980s with such practices as total quality management and continuous improvement. But from a competitive standpoint, the problem with operational effectiveness is that best practices are easily emulated. As all competitors in an industry adopt them, the productivity frontier, the maximum value a company can deliver at a given cost, given the best available technology, skills, and management techniques, shifts outward, lowering cost and improving value at the same time. Such competition produces absolute improvement in operational effectiveness, but relative improvement for no one. And the more benchmarking that companies do, the more competitive convergence you have. That is, the more indistinguishable companies are from one another. Strategic positioning attempts to achieve sustainable competitive advantage by preserving what is distinctive about a company. It means performing different activities from rivals or performing similar activities in different ways. Three key principles underlie strategic positioning. Strategy is the creation of a unique and valuable position involving a different set of activities. Strategic position emerges from three distinct sources. Serving few needs of many customers. Serving broad needs of few customers. Serving broad needs of many customers in a narrow market. Strategy requires you to make trade-offs in competing, to choose what not to do. Some competitive activities are incompatible, thus gains in one area can be achieved only at the expense of another area. For example, Neutrogena soap is positioned more as a medicinal product than as a cleansing agent. The company says no to sales based on deodorizing, gives up large volume, and sacrifices manufacturing efficiencies. By contrast, may take decision to extend its product line and acquire another brand represented a failure to make difficult trade-offs. The boost in revenues came at the expense of return on sales. Strategy involves creating fit among companies' activities. Fit has to do with the ways a company's activities interact and reinforce one another. For example, Vanguard Group aligns all of its activities with a low-cost strategy. It distributes funds directly to consumers and minimizes portfolio turnover. Fit drives both competitive advantage and sustainability. When activities mutually reinforce each other, competitors can easily imitate them. When Continental Light tried to match a few of Southwest Airlines' activities, but not the whole interlocking system, the results were disastrous. Employees need guidance about how to deepen a strategic position rather than broaden or compromise it, about how to extend the company's uniqueness while strengthening the fit among its activities. This work of deciding which target group of customers and needs to serve requires discipline, the ability to set limits, and forthright communication. Clearly, strategy and leadership are inextricably linked. 이제부터 본문입니다. Operational effectiveness is not strategy. 운영을 잘하는 것은 전략이 아니다. For almost 2 decades, managers have been learning to play by a new set of rules. Companies must be flexible to respond rapidly to competitive and market changes. They must benchmark continuously to achieve best practice. They must outsource aggressively to gain efficiencies, and they must nurture a few core competencies in the race to stay ahead of rivals. Positioning, once the heart of strategy, is rejected as too static for today's dynamic markets and changing technologies. According to the new dogma, rivals can quickly copy any market position, and competitive advantage is at best temporary. But those benefits are dangerous half-truths, and they are leading more and more companies down the path of mutually destructive competition. True, some barriers to competition are falling as regulation eases and markets become global. True, companies have properly invested energy in becoming leaner and more nimble. In many industries, however, what some call hyper-competition is a self-inflicted wound, not the inevitable outcome of a changing paradigm of competition. The root of the problem is the failure to distinguish between operational effectiveness and strategy. The quest for productivity, quality, and speed has spawned a remarkable number of management tools and techniques. Total quality management, benchmarking, time-based competition, outsourcing, partnering, re-engineering, change management. Although the resulting operational improvements have often been dramatic, many companies have been frustrated by their inability to translate those gained into sustainable profitability. And bit by bit, almost imperceptibly, management tools have taken the place of strategy. As managers push to improve on all fronts, they move farther away from viable competitive positions. Operational effectiveness, necessary but not sufficient. Operational effectiveness and strategy are both essential to superior performance, which, after all, is the primary goal of any enterprise, but they work in very different ways. A company can outperform rivals only if it can establish a difference that it can preserve. It must deliver greater value to customers or create comparable value at a lower cost, or do both. The arithmetic of superior profitability then follows. Delivering greater value allows a company to change higher average unit prices. Greater efficiencies result in lower average unit cost. Ultimately, all differences between companies in cost or price derive from the hundreds of activities required to create, produce, sell, and deliver their products or services, such as calling on customers, assembling final products, and training employees. Cost is generated by performing activities, and cost advantage arises from performing a particular activities more efficiently than competitors. Similarly, differentiation arises from both the choice of activities and how they are performed. Activities, then, are the basic units of competitive advantage. Overall advantage or disadvantage results from all a company's activities, not only a few. Operational effectiveness means performing similar activities better than rivals perform them. Operational effectiveness includes, but is not limited to, efficiency. It refers to any number of practices that allow a company to better utilize its inputs by, for example, reducing defects in products or developing better products faster. In contrast, strategic positioning means performing different activities from rivals or performing similar activities in different ways. Differences in operational effectiveness among companies are pervasive. Some companies are able to get more out of their inputs than others because they eliminate wasted efforts, employ more advanced technology, motivate employees better, or have greater insight into managing particular activities or set of activities. Such differences in operational effectiveness are an important source of differences in profitability among competitors because they directly affect relative cost positions and levels of differentiation. Differences in operational effectiveness were at the heart of the Japanese challenges to Western companies in the 1980s. The Japanese were so far ahead of rivals in operational effectiveness that they could offer lower cost and superior quality at the same time. It is worth dwelling on this point because so much recent thinking about competition depends on it. Imagine for a moment a productivity frontier that constitutes the sum of all existing best practices at any given time. Think of it as the maximum value that a company delivering a particular product or service can create at a given cost using the best available technologies, skills, management techniques, and purchased inputs. The productivity frontier can apply to individual activities, to groups of linked activities such as order processing and manufacturing, and to an entire company's activities. When a company improves its operational effectiveness, it moves toward the frontier. Doing so may require capital investment, different personnel, or simply new ways of managing. The productivity frontier is constantly shifting outward as new technologies and management approaches are developed and as new inputs become available. Laptop computers, mobile communication, the internet, and software such as Lotus Note, for example, have redefined the productivity frontier for sales force operations and created rich possibilities for linking sales with such activities as order processing and after-sales support. Similarly, lean production, which involves a family of activities, has allowed substantial improvement in manufacturing productivity and asset utilization. For at least the past decade, managers have been preoccupied with improving operational effectiveness. Through programs such as TQM, time-based competition, and benchmarking, they have changed how they perform activities in order to eliminate inefficiencies, improve customer satisfaction, and achieve best practice. Hoping to keep up with the shift in the productivity frontier, managers have embraced continuous improvement, empowerment, change management, and the so-called learning organization. The popularity of outsourcing and the virtual corporation reflect the growing recognition that it is difficult to perform all activities as productively as specialists. As companies move to the frontier, they can often improve on multiple dimensions of performance at the same time. For example, manufacturers that adopt the Japanese practice of rapid changeovers in the 1980s were able to lower cost and improve differentiation simultaneously. What was once believed to be real trade-off between defects and cost, for example, turned out to be illusions created by poor operational effectiveness. Managers have learned to reject such false trade-offs. Constant improvement in operational effectiveness is necessary to achieve superior profitability. However, it is not usually sufficient. Few companies have competed successfully on the basis of operational effectiveness over an extended period, and staying ahead of rivals gets harder every day. The most obvious reason for that is the rapid diffusion of best practices. Competitors can quickly imitate management techniques, new technologies, input improvement, and superior ways of meeting customers' needs. The most generic solutions, those can be used in multiple settings, diffuse the fastest. Witness the proliferation of OE techniques accelerated by support from consultants. Operational efficiencies, operational effectiveness competition shifts the productivity frontier outward, effectively raising the bar for everyone. But although such competition produces absolute improvement in operational effectiveness, it leads to relative improvement for no one. Consider the $5 billion plus US commercial printing industry. The major player, R.R. Donnelley and Sons Company, Quebecor, World Color Press, and Big Flower Press, are competing head-to-head, serving all types of customers, offering the same array of printing technology, gravure and web offset, investing heavily in the same new equipment, running their presses faster, and reducing new crew sizes, but the resulting major productivity gains are being captured by customers and equipment suppliers, not retained in superior profitability. Even industry leader Donnelley's profit margin, consistently higher than 7% in the 1980s, fell to less than 4.6% in 1995. This pattern is playing itself out in industry after industry. Even the Japanese, pioneers of the new competition, suffer from persistently low profit. The second reason that improved operational effectiveness is insufficient. Competitive convergence is more subtle and insidious. The more benchmarking companies do, the more they look alike. The more that rivals outsource activities to efficient third parties, often the same ones, the more generic those activities become. The rivals imitate one another's improvement in quality, cycle times, or supplier partnerships. Strategies converge, and competition becomes a series of races down identical paths that no one can win. Competition based on operational effectiveness Competition based on effectiveness alone is mutually destructive, leading to wars of attrition that can be arrested only by limiting competition. Competition based on operational effectiveness alone is mutually destructive, leading to wars of attrition that can be arrested only by limiting competition. 운영을 효율적으로 하는 것, 이것에만 의존한 컴피티션, 경쟁은 is mutually destructive, 상호 파괴적입니다. 그래서 leading towards attrition, 소모전으로 이끌게 됩니다. 그 소모전은 that can be arrested only by limiting competition. 이 소모전은 오로지 경쟁을 제한함으로써만 막을 수 있는 것입니다. The recent wave of industry consolidation through mergers makes sense in the context of OE competition. Driven by performance pressures but lacking strategic vision, company after company has had no better idea than to buy up its rivals. 잘해야 된다는 압박에 시달려서 그런데 스트래테직 비전, 전략적 비전은 없는 상태에서 이런 회사들은 companies after company, 모든 회사들이, 대부분 회사들이 has had no better idea, 다른 아이디어가 없습니다. than to buy up its rivals, 경쟁사를 사들이는 것 외에는 다른 생각을 하지 못합니다. The competitors left standing open doors that outlasted others, not companies with real advantage. After a decade of impressive gains in operational effectiveness, many companies are facing diminishing returns. Continuous improvement has been etched on managers' brains, but its tools unwittingly draw companies toward imitation and homogeneity. Gradually, managers have let operational effectiveness supplant strategy. Gradually, managers have let operational effectiveness supplant strategy. The result is zero-sum competition, static or declining prices, and pressures on cost that compromise companies' ability to invest in the business for the long term. Strategy rests on unique activities. 전략이란 독특한 활동, 독특한 기업 활동에 의존합니다. Competitive strategy is about being different. 경쟁 전략이란 차별화를 의미합니다. 달라야 된다는 것을 말합니다. It means deliberately choosing a different set of activities to deliver a unique mix of value. Southwest Airlines Company, for example, offered short-haul, low-cost, point-to-point service between mid-sized cities and secondary airports in large cities. Southwest avoids large airports and does not fly great distances. Its customers include business travelers, families, and students. Southwest frequent departures and low fares attract price-sensitive customers who otherwise would travel by bus or car, and convenience-oriented travelers who would choose a full-service airline on other routes. Most managers describe strategic positioning in terms of their customers. Southwest Airlines serve price and convenience-sensitive travelers. For example, but the essence of strategy is in the activities, choosing to perform activities differently or to perform different activities than rivals. 전략의 본질은 is in the activity, 활동에 있습니다. 그 활동은 choosing to perform, 선택하는 것인데 choosing to perform activities differently, 기업 활동을 다르게 차별화해서 하는 것을 선택하거나 또는 perform different activities than rivals, 경쟁자들과 다른 경영활동을 하는 것을 의미합니다. Otherwise, a strategy is nothing more than a marketing slogan that will not withstand competition. A full-service airline is configured to get passengers from almost any point A to any point B. To reach a large number of these destinations and serve passengers with connecting flights, full-service airlines employ a hub-and-spoke system centered on major airports. To attract passengers who desire more comfort They offer first-class or business-class service. To accommodate passengers who must change planes, they coordinate schedules and check and transfer baggage. Because some passengers will be traveling for many hours, full-service airlines serve meals. Southwest, in contrast, tailors all its activities to deliver low-cost, convenient service on its particular type of route. 반면에 사우스웨스트 항공은 tailors all its activities, 모든 기업 활동을 다듬어서 to deliver low cost, 저가 그리고 convenient 서비스, 편한 서비스를 제공하는 데 초점을 맞추었습니다. Through fast turnaround at the gate of only 15 minutes, Southwest is able to keep planes flying longer hours than rivals and provide frequent departures with fewer aircraft. Southwest does not offer meals, assigned seat, interline baggage checking, or premium classes of service. Automated ticketing at the gate encounters customers to bypass travel agents, allowing Southwest to avoid their commissions. A standardized fleet of 737 aircraft boosts the efficiency of maintenance. Southwest has staked out a unique and valuable strategic position based on a tailored set of activities. Southwest has staked out a unique and valuable strategic position based on a tailored set of activities. On the route served by Southwest, a full-service airline could never be as convenient or as low cost. IKEA, the global furniture retailer based in Sweden, also has a clear strategic positioning. IKEA targets young furniture buyers who want style and low cost. What turns this marketing concept into strategic positioning is the tailored set of activities that make it work. Like Southwest, IKEA has chosen to perform activities differently from its rivals. Consider the typical furniture store. Showrooms display samples of the merchandise. One area might contain 25 sofas. Another will display 5 dining tables. But those items represent only a fraction of the choices available to customers. Dozens of books displaying fabric swatches or wood samples or alternate styles offer customers thousands of product varieties to choose from. Salespeople often escort customers through the store, answering questions and helping them navigate these maze of choices. Once a customer makes a selection, the order is relayed to a third-party manufacturer. With luck, the furniture will be delivered to the customer's home within 6 to 8 weeks. This is a value chain that maximizes customization and service but does so at high cost. This is a value chain that maximizes customization and service but does so at high cost. In contrast, IKEA serves customers who are happy to trade off service for cost. Instead of having a sales associate track customers around the store, IKEA uses a self-service model based on clear in-store displays. Rather than rely solely on third-party manufacturers, IKEA designs its own low-cost modular ready-to-assemble furniture to fit its positioning. In huge stores, IKEA displays every product it sells in room-like settings, so customers don't need a decorator to help them imagine how to put the pieces together. Adjacent to the furnished showrooms is a warehouse section with the product in boxes on pallets. Customers are expected to do their own pickup and delivery, and IKEA will even sell you a roof rack for your car that you can return for refund on your next visit. Although much of its low-cost position comes from having customers do it themselves, IKEA offers a number of extra services that its competitors do not. In-store childcare is one. Extended hours are another. Those services are uniquely aligned with the needs of its customers, who are young, not wealthy, likely to have children, but no nanny, and because they work for a living, have a need to shop at odd hours. The origins of strategic positions. Strategic positions emerge from three distinct sources, which are not mutually exclusive or often overlap. First, positioning can be based on producing a subset of industry's products or services. I call this variety-based positioning because it is based on the choice of product or service varieties rather than customer segments. Variety-based positioning makes economic sense when a company can best produce particular products or services using distinctive set of activities. GP Lube International, for instance, specializes in automotive lubricants and does not offer other car repair or maintenance services. Its value chain produces fast service at a lower cost than broader line repair shops, a combination so attractive that many customers subdivide their purchases, buying oil changes from a focused competitor, GP Lube, and going to rivals for other services. The Vanguard Group, a leader in the mutual fund industry, is another example of variety-based positioning. Vanguard provides an array of common stock, bond, and money market funds that offers predictable performance and rock-bottom expenses. The company's investment approach deliberately sacrifices the possibility of extraordinary performance in any one year for good relative performance in every year. 뱅가드 그룹의 investment approach, 투자 전략은 deliberately, 고의적으로 sacrifices, 희생시킵니다. The possibility of extraordinary performance in any one year. 특정 한 해의 extraordinary performance, 엄청난 성과의 가능성을 없애버리고 포기하고 대신에 for good relative performance in every year. 매년 상대적으로 괜찮은 수익을 올리는 것을 목적으로 하고 있습니다. Vanguard is known, for example, for its index fund. It avoids making bets on interest rates and steers clear of narrow stock groups. Fund managers keep trading levels low, which holds expenses down. In addition, the company discourages customers from rapid buying and selling because doing so drives up costs and can force the fund manager to trade in order to deploy new capital and raise cash for redemptions. Vanguard also takes a consistent low-cost approach to managing distribution, customer service, and marketing. Many investors include one or more Vanguard funds in their portfolio while buying aggressively managed or specialized funds from competitors. The people who use Vanguard or GP Lube are responding to a superior value chain for a particular type of service. A variety-based positioning can serve a wide array of customers, but most of it will meet only a subset of their need. Variety-based positioning은 can serve a wide array of customers. 넓은 종류의 넓은 층의 고객들을 상대할 수 있습니다. 그러나 for most of it, 그러나 대부분은 이 variety-based positioning은 will meet only a subset of their need. 그 커스터머들의 여러 니즈의 일부만 충족시키는 것입니다. A second basis for positioning is that of serving most or all the needs of a particular group of customers. I call this needs-based positioning. which comes closer to traditional thinking about targeting a segment of customers. It arises when there are groups of customers with differing needs and when a tailored set of activities can serve those needs best. Some groups of customers are more price sensitive than others, demand different product features, and need varying amounts of information, support, and services. IKEA's customers are a good example of such a group. IKEA seeks to meet all the home furnishing needs of its target customers, not just a subset of them. A variant, a variant of need-based positioning arises when the same customer has different needs on different occasions or for different types of transactions. The same person, for example, may have different needs when traveling on business than when traveling for pleasure with a family. Buyers of buyers of cans beverage companies, for example, will likely have different needs from their primary supplier than from their secondary source. It is intuitive for most managers to conceive of their business in terms of customers' needs they are meeting. But a critical element of need-based positioning is not at all intuitive and is often overlooked. Differences in need will not translate into meaningful positions unless the best set of activities to satisfy them also differs. If that were not the case, every competitor could meet those same needs, and there would be nothing unique or valuable about the positioning. In private banking, for example, Bessemer Trust Company targets families with a minimum of 5 million in investable assets who want capital preservation combined with wealth accumulation. By assigning one sophisticated account officer for every 14 families, Bessemer has configured its activities for personalized service. Meetings, for example, are more likely to be held at the client's ranch or yacht than in the office. Bessemer offers a wide array of customized services, including investment management and estate administration, oversight of oil and gas investment, and accounting for racehorses and aircraft. Loans, a staple of most private banks, are rarely needed by Bessemer's client and make up a tiny fraction of its client balances and income. Despite the most generous compensation of account officers and the highest personnel cost as a percentage of operating expenses, Bessemer's differentiation with its target families produces a return on equity estimated to be the highest of any private banking competitor. Citibank Private Bank, on the other hand, serves clients with a minimum asset of about 250,000 who, in contrast to Bessemer's client, want convenient access to loans from jumbo mortgage to deal financing. Citibank's account managers are primary lenders. When clients need other services, their account manager refers them to other Citibank specialists, each of whom handles prepackaged products. Citibank's system is less customized than Bessemer's and allows it to have a lower manager to client ratio of 1 to 125. Biannual office meetings are offered only for the largest cost clients. Both Bessemer and Citibank have tailored their activities to meet the needs of a different group of private banking customers. The same value chain cannot profitably meet the needs of both groups. The third basis for positioning is that of segmenting customers who are accessible in different ways. Although their needs are similar to those of other customers, the best configuration of activities to reach them is different. I call this access-based positioning. Assess can be a function of customer geography or customer scale or of anything that requires a different set of activities to reach customers in the best way. Segmenting by assess is less common and less well understood than the other two bases. Carmike Cinemas, for example, operates movie theaters exclusively in cities and towns with populations under 200,000. How does Carmike make money in markets that are not only small but also one support big city ticket prices? It does so through a set of activities that result in a lean cost structure. Carmike's small town customers can be served through standardized, low-cost theater complexes requiring fewer screens or less sophisticated projection technology than big city theaters. The company's proprietary information system and management process eliminate the need for local administrative staff beyond a single theater manager. Carmike also reaps advantages from centralized purchasing, lower rent, and payroll cost because of its location. The rock bottom corporate overhead of 2%, operating in small communities also allows Carmike to practice a highly personal form of marketing in which the theater manager knows patrons or promotes attendance through personal contacts. By being the dominant, if not the only theater in its markets, the main competition is often the high school football team. Carmike is also able to get its pick of films and negotiate better terms with distributors. Rural versus urban-based customers are one example of assessed driving differences in activities. Serving small rather than large customers or densely rather than sparsely situated customers are another examples in which the best way to configure marketing, order processing, logistics, and after-sales service activities to meet the similar needs of distinct groups will often differ. Positioning is not only about carving out a niche. A position emerging from any of the sources can be broad or narrow. A focused competitor, such as IKEA, targets the special needs of a subset of customers and designs its activities accordingly. Focused competitors thrive on groups of customers who are overserved and hence overpriced by more broadly targeted competitors, or underserved and hence underpriced. Of broadly targeted customers, for example, Vanguard or Delta Airline serves a wide array of customers performing a set of activities designed to meet their common needs. It ignores or meets only partially the more idiosyncratic needs of particular customer groups. Whatever the basis, variety, needs, assess, or some combination of the three, positioning requires a tailored set of activities because it is always a function of differences on the supply side, that is, of differences in activities. However, positioning is not always a function of differences on the demand or customer side. Variety and assess positioning, in particular, do not rely on any customer differences. In practice, however, variety or assess differences often accompany these differences. the taste that is the needs of Carmike's small-town customers, for instance, lean more toward comedies, westerns, action films, and family entertainment. Carmike does not run any films rated NC-19. Having defined positioning, we can now begin to answer the question, what is strategy? Strategy is the creation of a unique and valuable position involving a different set of activities. If there were only one ideal position, there would be no need for strategy. Companies would face a simple imperative: win the race to discover and preempt it. The essence of strategic positioning is to choose activities that are different from rivals. If the same set of activities were best to produce all varieties, meet all needs, and access all customers, companies could easily shift among them and operational effectiveness would determine performance.